We had some breaking news coming out from this past Monday that Mike McCarthy, former head coach for the Green Bay Packers and the Dallas Cowboys, has been signed with the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I believe my bet is Mike McCarthy signed a 5-year deal to join the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, I didn't write anything for this, so this is going to be me completely straight into thoughts on this signing for Mike McCarthy to go into Pittsburgh. And honestly, I do not like this call. I do not like the Pittsburgh Steelers hiring Mike McCarthy, not because Mike McCarthy is a bad coach or anything. I don't think Mike McCarthy is a bad coach. I think he's a very good coach. It's not the head coach that the Pittsburgh Steelers needed. I understand that Art Rooney II, the owner of the Pittsburgh Steelers, literally had hired Mike McCarthy because he had like a winning season records when he was with the Dallas Cowboys. He didn't say Dallas Cowboys off the bat. He said that Mike McCarthy was a winning coach because, of course, there was times in the Green Bay years he definitely won a lot of football games, but that was when he had Aaron Rodgers in his prime. Part of me feels like that the reason why they signed Mike McCarthy, which is mostly Art Rooney II, the owner of the Pittsburgh Steelers, part of me feels like he only signed Mike McCarthy so that way he can convince a 42-year-old Aaron Rodgers, I think he's 42, but he is an old player at this point, to come back and play with Mike McCarthy for one last time. I don't know how that's going to work out for Pittsburgh, but in all honesty, like I said, this is a bad signing because the way that the Pittsburgh Steelers roster looks, Art Rooney II should know that it's been 10 years since Pittsburgh has won a playoff game. And the fact that you hire Mike McCarthy to a team that does not have enough pieces right now that could literally contend for a Super Bowl, which, of course, the Pittsburgh Steelers are way out of contentions for a Super Bowl right now. But the fact is that you don't have any good protection on offense, let alone you don't have a good quarterback to play on the quarterback position, and you don't have enough very good defensive players on the defensive side of the ball neither. There's a lot of issues that's going on in Pittsburgh, and now Pittsburgh is going to face a lot more from bad to worse is going to get with Mike McCarthy. Because, like I said, Art Rooney should be ashamed of himself, man. He should. He should feel ashamed of himself because, literally, why would you hire Mike McCarthy, who did quarterback Aaron Rodgers and Dak Prescott? Why would you bring him in this situation like this roster, this Pittsburgh Steelers roster, that doesn't have a winning team right now? They can't contend with anybody right now in our own conference, let alone anyone else in the NFL. How is this even a good call on Art Rooney II's part? I don't know. It's almost like the Pittsburgh Steelers are allergic to rebuild. Someone has to say it. They literally are allergic to rebuild because of how they just want to feel like they can win football games. But how are you going to win football games now? Because now Mike McCarthy left on his own terms, let alone knowing that this roster is not great. It's not a great roster right now. Mike McCarthy, yeah, he can win you some football games, but he's not going to win you a playoff game, even if you get to the playoffs. Because if you've seen the AFC conference, it's definitely stacked with some pretty damn good teams, especially the teams you saw in this past year's playoffs. But man, if I'm any Steeler fans out there, I would be pissed off, frustrated, disappointed, angry, every emotion under the sun. That's how I would feel if I was a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. But I know Pittsburgh Steelers fans will agree with me when I say you got to feel every right to have this much emotions with this decision, because this is a terrible decision on Art Rooney II part, and I think it's going to come biting him back in the butt. I think that's going to come bite him back in the butt. But for football fans in general, let me know in the comments section, what do you think about this hiring for Mike McCarthy? Was this a good hiring for Pittsburgh or bad? Personally, for me, this was bad, but I do want to know your thoughts and opinions in the comments section.